Hi everyone, it's Taylor. I'm just recording this mini kind of tutorial just to give you a really kind of quick overview of how to use Audacity, the editing software that we kind of recommend for this project. I promise it's really easy to use. I am by no means an expert at all, but there's just a few things that might be easier to just show you like this. So I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown of how to use Audacity. So to start with, I'm going to share my screen like so. Okay, so when you first open Audacity, this is what you should see. Kind of, just a kind of blank slate where you can import your audio. So I'm gonna just, cancel this, and I'm gonna say File, Import Audio, and then this will come up. So ignore this. I'm going to scroll down to the example that I'm going to be using today just to show you. I'm going to be using Fernanda's interview, which is currently on the website for you to all have a listen to. So here we have this is the WAV file, and this is the M4A file of Fernanda's interview. So they're both Fernanda's interview, but the WAV file is specifically for the archives, and the M4A is specifically for the website. So the M4A, that can be kind of edited a bit differently. If maybe someone wanted something edited out, then you could edit that out of the M4A file, whereas the WAV file is kind of the raw unedited unedited audio, unless obviously someone has specifically outlined that they would like a specific part of their interview redacted, then that would be redacted out of both. But I just mean kind of like noise interruptions maybe, or something that you wouldn't want on the website content, kind of like just little everyday like annoyances, the doorbell going or something like that. You could edit that out of the M4A, whereas the WAV file is like traditionally left as raw as possible for the archive to have the most kind of authentic audio recording. So that's just the two differences, and also the M4A is a lot easier to store, and we use that to upload to SoundCloud. So the M4A is just easier to manage, and you can see there's a big difference in the size of the audio files. So I'm going to open up the WAV file of Fernanda's, and here you see the WAV file, the wave kind of lengths here. You can zoom in and you can see all the different. The easiest way to get the hang of this is to just do it yourself. I promise that's how at first I was a little bit like, oh my goodness, when I was first shown how to use it. It looks quite complicated, but I promise it's not. It's very user friendly. So you can zoom in as much as you want, zoom out, you can see the length of the interview. So here you click to the end, and this is saying 49 minutes 39 seconds. So Fernanda's interview was recorded over Zoom, which it doesn't matter if it was Zoom or in person using the Zoom H5 recorder in person or an online tool. It doesn't matter at all. You'll just import the files the same as you would with any file into here, and I'll get down to how to use the tools now. So if you want to kind of cut parts, you just kind of drag it along, and then you kind of click the back button. It's super easy, and the best part about it for me is this button here is an undo button, which is just perfect because everyone makes mistakes. I certainly have, and if you maybe cut too much of a certain point and you listen to it back and it doesn't make sense because you've cut out a word, then you can edit it, you can undo it, and you can start all over again, or you can do it in stages as well. So if you do 3 cuts by accident, you can just undo, and it's all fine. So don't panic. It's not set in stone. Also, if you maybe say, oh, I don't actually like what I've done with this recording, and you kind of just want to start all over again, you can do this, and it will ask you if you want to save the project before closing. If you don't like what you've done, you can say no, and it'll just take you back to the raw unedited version that you had to start with, which is always, sometimes it's quite good to have that confidence to know that it'll always still be there. Whereas if you do like it, you can save it, and then that'll save as a project within Audacity. So it won't export it as a new file, but it'll save it as a project. I'm trying to think if there's other helpful tools. So if maybe one of the interviews is perhaps slightly quiet, sometimes that happens, the sound levels just haven't worked out the way you want them to. So you click on the area that might be a little bit quieter, and you would drag it along, and you go up to Tools here, and you go to Effects. See, I'm not an expert at all. Go to Effects and then Amplify, and this kind of will automatically give you the best frequency to amplify it to. A lot of the times I don't fiddle with this at all, because it's not necessary, because this kind of makes sure that it won't go too high or too low. Normally I just say, okay, this one is fine, because you can see the sound levels are all pretty similar. But sometimes if you listen to it back, maybe the recorder was placed slightly too far away from the interviewee, or the interviewer yourself or whoever's recorded it is maybe further away, so it's slightly muffled. So you can select specific parts of the audio and then amplify that, which is definitely a helpful tool that I've had to use before, because sometimes it's a panic, you don't want the interview to have been ruined if you can't really hear it, but not to worry, because that effect is there. And those are really the only tools that I would recommend using. There's tools where you can kind of smooth out really large sound interruptions, but for the moment I think I don't want you to have to stress about that. I think just the basics of clipping the start and the end, and any interruptions in the middle, and any things that the interviewee themselves has stated that they would like removed, cut those out. As I said, it's very easy. You drag, back button, it's very easy. I would say probably the most important thing is how you save it. So if you go File, and then once you've made the edits that you would like. Obviously I haven't done this with this one, but say I've made all the edits, I've made the cuts, I've amplified it if necessary, I've done any tweaks that I would need to. So you would export as your MP3. No, sorry. You'd go to Export Audio, and here it gives you the option of what you would like to export it as. So for the website, it would be the M4A file, and then you would edit the name. So here it's VCS, because it's going to Edinburgh's archive, and it's 001 because it was the first interview done in Edinburgh. And you would say version 2, because version 1 is the WAV file that we're going to name. So version 1 is the raw unedited version, which is the original, and that's going to go to the archive. And version 2, the M4A file, is the edited version, and that's going to go to us, and you send it to me or send it to Audrey, and that will get put on the website. So then it's as easy as that. You save it and you say okay, and it converts it really quickly as whatever audio that you've selected it to be. And it's taking a little bit of time because I'm on Zoom. Normally it's a lot quicker than this, but I think my computer is having a bit of trouble. But it'll save into the file, the kind of downloaded area that you've requested on your laptop, and that should be good to go. And that's kind of it, honestly. Like, I know it seems quite intimidating, but I promise we're not expecting anything fancy at all. You don't need to play with the sound levels too much. Like, if it's quiet, you can make it louder. That's pretty much it. And it's not normally too loud, so that's kind of, I don't think that should be an issue. Now, there we go, that's it saved. And then if you look in your folder, there we go. Where is it? Oh, it's still saving to my iCloud. But that will save into your computer wherever you've saved it, and that should be you. So basically, the WAV file in the original form that you've recorded it in is what you will send to the archive, but also it's good practice to kind of send them both. So I normally send the archivists the two WAV files, the WAV file and the M4A file, so the interview, two different forms of interviews. And the summary form is really important to also do, which will kind of just, I would pull up an example, but I don't want to, just in case there's any information on it that I shouldn't be sharing on this. But the summary and the metadata sheet is all on the website. It's like there's a form, a template, and just kind of, you can label the track that you've called it, and it's just good for the archivist to be able to have a record of that. And anyone who wants to listen to the recording it's not going to be a transcript, it's not going to be nearly as detailed, but it just gives some record and it has some timestamps. So I would send that along. Any pictures that the person has specifically agreed to send and to include in the project, I would send those along also, and the consent forms. So those are all the things. It's going to, I would recommend a WeTransfer file is probably the best way to do it. That's what I use, and I've never had any issues with WeTransfer. And when you're sending it to me or anyone at SCA to upload onto the webpage, I would also recommend a WeTransfer. But if Dropbox is better for you and your organisation or their community group, then we're completely open to that. So I think that's kind of all that I wanted to kind of give you on this, like Audacity in general. I know it does look a bit gross, and not gross, but for someone who's maybe not technically like aware, I definitely wasn't technically aware of editing programs before I'd done any oral history. So yes, don't panic. It's very user friendly, I promise. And I think the easiest way to do it is to just get stuck in and get started. And if you have any questions, please email me, and I can even, if the questions go beyond my knowledge, which they might well do, because I'm definitely not an expert on Audacity, then I can pass them on to someone who'll definitely be able to help you. So that's all from me just now. I'm going to stop the recording now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And yeah, thank you and good luck with your interviews and all the editing. I'm very excited to hear all the stories.